Today, I'll show you how to add a custom gradient background to your Squarespace website. Gradients are a super simple way to really elevate the look and feel of your website, and there's no code needed. I'll take you step by step through this tutorial, share my favorite design settings, and even give you some pro tips to get that clean, seamless gradient look. Hello, my name is Annika. I am the founder and designer of Incandescent Creative, a design studio I started in 2012 that has evolved through my own spiritual journey to now support the healers, spiritual service providers, and conscious creators deepen into their purpose and have a greater impact. So for today's tutorial, all you'll need is access to your Squarespace website and the colors you want to use for your gradient. Let's dive in. Okay, so first I'll show you the effect we're going for. Here's a client website I've designed that uses a very subtle neutral gradient in the background. So as I scroll here, you can see the color very subtly changing from cream into a slightly deeper khaki color. You can see it really noticeably here in the transition between these sections. And this is the effect we're going for in today's tutorial. That being said, your gradient can be subtle like this, or it might be bolder and use more colors. So if you don't already have colors in mind, you can browse the gradients at coolers.co/gradients. They have a ton of gradient options, and you can also adjust them. So let's say we want to go with this subtle light pink to a neutral. If you click on the three dots and then go into open in the editor, it'll take you into the settings page. So what we need here is the hex code. Hex codes are 6-digit color codes that start with a hashtag and then are followed by 6 letters or numbers. So we'll copy this code and then we'll go into our Squarespace website. This is a test website I have. You'll go into the edit settings and you'll find the section that you want to add the gradient to. So here I have 2 sections that I will add my gradient to. So once in here, you'll mouse over the section you want to add the gradient to and hit Edit Section, and then go into Background and Art. You'll see it automatically applies an effect. We want to scroll down to the bottom right effect. You'll see a few different ones, but this effect here, if you mouse over it, it will say gradient. Click on the Edit Settings, and then we'll add our start color. So you can either select a color that's already in your palette, or you can add a custom color. I'm adding the custom color I copied from Coolers. Make sure the hashtag's in there. And then I'll hop back over to my gradient palette on Coolers and select the other color. Highlight that and copy it, and go back into my Squarespace and enter that as my end color. So now we have a really beautiful sunset effect gradient here. But let's say we want that effect to span both of these sections. So what you can do is, it's like a little bit of a trick, a little pro tip here. So Chrome has an eyedropper extension that you can select a color and find its hex code. This works on any website. So this works for Pinterest, etc. Once you download that extension, you click on it and then you can pick color from this web and you'll select a color roughly about the midpoint of your gradient. We select that, and then if we come back into the eyedropper tool, we can copy that color code to our clipboard. So now what we do is we come back into this section, and this midpoint color is now going to be our end color. So we'll go back into our gradient settings and we'll change the end color to the new color code. Make sure there's only one hashtag in there, and you can see it's much more subtle. So now the section below will do the same thing. We'll go into the edit section, we'll select the gradient, and for our start color, we're now using the color we ended with from the previous section as our start color for this section. So we'll add that. And our end color will be our original end color, if that makes sense, the sort of yellowy color, go back into custom and input that code, and I'll save that. Sometimes Squarespace can be a little bit glitchy, so if it does what you're seeing now, you just refresh the page, and let's see what it does. There we go. Now we have a much more seamless gradient effect. Here we go. So you can see it spans both sections and goes from that really soft pink into that really light yellowy orange. So one thing I also want to mention is if you want that really clean, seamless effect for your gradient, I'll show you the settings I use for that. You go back into the background art section, settings on your gradient, and depending on the colors you use, you may see more texture, more noise. This one you're not seeing too much because it's such a subtle transition. But just to show you, I set my start position to -100, my end position to 100, and I change all of the texture settings to 0 because I personally don't want to use much texture for this gradient. I want it to be very seamless, no motion, so just turn off the noise and set all these settings under texture to 0. So I'll do that for both sections. You can watch me do it again here. Back under gradient settings, shape and size, -100 to 100, texture, 0, 0, 0, and off for the noise. And I'll save that, go back out so we can see what it looks like live, and here we go. Here's our beautiful gradient. That was super easy. Feel free to experiment with this, try some different colors, see what works best for you, and let me know how it goes in the comments below. Satnam.